Hey there, Ian. And hey there, blank as a fart listeners. I haven't come up with a good name for our fans yet.
You know what I
Do we
wanted?
just call them farters?
Farters, maybe.
Everybody's a farter.
I wanted to
Then we can
say.
say that and have it be true,
I totally forgot. I was gonna say it's 8 p.m. Do you know where your freedom's at, or whatever the fuck he
Oh,
says?
the Jacoby shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. We're here to eat, drink, and shit money, everybody.
Yeah,
Welcome to Blank as a Fart.
Yeah.
I'm Gabe. This is Ian. We're watching Twin Peaks. We've been at it for well over a year now. I'm having fun with it. Ian, not so much, but he's having fun talking about it.
Struggling, little struggle.
Yeah, but the bullshitting about it's fun, right? Right?
For the most part.
That's why it's survived as long as it has, because the bullshitting about it is fun. Anyway, yeah, we are on part 12 of The Return. So we are almost all the way through. 6 episodes left after tonight. Ian, how you feeling about that?
I mean, I'm excited to see how this kind of wraps up. Tonight's episode was a difficult journey, though, and I got to be honest.
It was.
I don't even know if it was important to any of it, but.
Oof. And now that you mention it, it's really hard for me to say. This episode in particular was an example of the weakness of the 18-hour movie divided into 12 or 18 parts. This was just, it felt like a lot of filler. And even me, the diehard fan, I struggled a lot with this one on what would have been my third and fourth viewings of this episode. And I don't remember it being, this much of a doozy. But maybe that's because on my second run through, I was probably binging and watched this one and like with 3 others.
Gotcha.
And on my first run through, I would have been just like greedily eating up every breadcrumb that I would have received as part of the viewing. So
it just felt like every scene, like, I don't care if the scenes are important or not, they just went on for like way longer than they needed to. Like, it was just like,
yeah. And as nice as it was to see Audrey again, it was just like, was that 20 unbroken minutes of the same scene?
Right.
Because it sure as hell felt like it.
It was like,
we got to the end of the episode, and I'm like, "That's it?
Like, nothing
like
really,
it's over already?
Nothing really happens. Nothing really happens.
Yeah,
in this.
aside from Audrey appearing and Sarah's little episode,
yeah, it's
like
wild.
there is very, very little meat to this one. Not much to chew on at all. No log lady, no Mr. C. We get 15 seconds of Dougie. We sacrificed a lot, it feels like, for a big Audrey scene that has very little context.
For a minute there, I was like, Dougie was in this? I was like, oh yeah, he was. Really quickly.
Right?
Just like,
right?
What? Oh yeah, there was that scene that I even thought to myself, was that necessary? Like, that's just like he just threw it in there.
It's just to remind us he's still there and he's still dumb. But yeah, so that being our summary of events leading up to that, let's go ahead and, unless you got anything else to add for now.
No, let's go for it.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into the recap. Part 12 begins with an unassuming exterior shot of a hotel before moving inside, where Albert, Tammy, and Gordon are sharing a glass of wine in a fancy-looking conference room. After toasting to the bureau, Albert gets to the point. And it's going to be serious because Gordon has turned his hearing aids all the way up to make quiet conversation possible. No sudden, sharp sounds. Albert goes on to explain to Tammy the origins of the Blue Rose, which is a joint military and FBI task force that was assembled in the wake of the closing of Project Blue Book in the late 70s. Its purpose is to investigate the cases that Blue Book left behind that could not be solved by conventional means. In addition to Gordon and Albert, there were 3 other members of this task force, and they are Dale Cooper, Chet Desmond, and Philip Jeffries. Oh, this is all some convenient retconning here, right? All of these gentlemen have suffered mysterious disappearances during their career as part of the task force. The reason that Albert is telling Tammy all of this information is because he and Gordon wish to recruit her. Tammy accepts with zero hesitation, and her excitement at this opportunity is indeed palpable. I really kind of thought that this was Christabel's best acting in the series so far. Like this is kind of like David just telling her, just imagine what you felt when I told you I was going to bring you into the series,
Hmm.
and like it seems genuine. Like she typically seems understated in her performance because she's not a terribly great actress. But here, like this feels like real emotion, and it feels like she's tapping into something here that makes Tammy interesting to me.
I
You don't
saw no
share that.
change. I don't share that. I think she's about the same. But
Yeah. And, Gal Gadot levels of acting here. Let's see. After another toast and the promise of a detailed morning briefing, so that's more exposition next week.
cool,
But at least you got some answers here, right?
I guess.
Gordon summons Diane into the room. She enters between a set of dark red drapes. I'm sure that's just a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
And takes a seat at the table to share a drink with the rest of them. Albert and Gordon have an offer for her as well. They'd like to temporarily deputize Diane back into the FBI until the case with Cooper is resolved. Diane takes only a little longer than Tammy to answer in the affirmative, giving this week's episode its title, Let's Rock.
Yep.
Anything to add to that one? That's just,
Kind of cringe. Let's go.
yeah. It was kind of amusing, you know, uh, Albert presenting the vodka bottle to her as if it were like a wine vintage. I kind of chuckled at that a little bit.
I guess. I guess.
It was a little dry humor.
As this
And
Diane
as I
character,
found out,
though, but as this Diane character continues to go on this way, her affected being, I don't know, just starts to seems disingenuous somehow all of a sudden. This one it started really kind of bothering me more than it had in the past episodes, but it just seems very, I don't know. I just wasn't
like, faked.
yeah, kind of. It just seems very ugh. I don't know what it is about it. But this time it kind of just watching her
Yeah,
drink and
well,
smoke was not fun.
not as much. Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, she started off as very caustic, and she had that amusing level of, you know, fire in her responses to the most inane of stuff. But she's been like almost genial as of late. Like when she was like nice to Detective Mackley when she was trying to con him into letting her smoke. She's like, "Oh, this would go really good with the coffee," instead of being like, "Fuck you, Mackley, I'm going to smoke anyway." So like, yeah, where does this shift? Where did this happen? Like when she got the text from Mr. C? Like, is that kind of seems like a bit of a catalyst for her change in character? Like with Gordon, she's been acting sweet with Gordon ever since she saw Mr. C in the prison. But I mean, is that an act that she's playing up because we know she's in cahoots with him? I mean, there's many facets to Diane right now, and I can't really
Oh, I
say
guess,
more than that
I
because
guess,
I
I
know
guess,
where it ends up.
I guess
But
that some of it is also that I just feel like, um, what's her real name?
shit, I really should know this. Laura Dern.
Laura Dern. Yeah, I feel like she's struggling with the character, or she's starting to. I guess that's what I'm trying to like. Like it's not. I don't know. There's something off about it. I don't know. This is kind of
Well,
my staring at her as she's kind of staring off into space. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like she's trying really hard.
well, there was like this scene in particular. I watched as part of the background stuff the rehearsals for this scene, and there was a lot of it that was ad libbed
Mm.
during rehearsal. So this scene in particular was very loose. There wasn't a lot scripted aside from Albert's big speech. So like the part where he presents the bottle, that was Miguel Ferrer's idea as like, oh yeah, Diane and I don't really like each other, right? So I'm going to be a little snarky with her, yeah. And Lynch going, yeah, 100%. This is like you guys are not friends. So this was a much more organic approach than you usually saw in those scenes. So yeah, it wouldn't be far to say that maybe Laura Dern did not have a full grasp on where Diane was in this particular moment within the context of the rest of the series. That's a fair assessment. So anyway, we now get a shot of, you guessed it, the mountains before we dissolve to another long distance shot of Jerry. Maybe not dissolve, maybe cut to. Running out into a clearing, breath steaming out in front of him, fanny pack askew. He falls face first onto the ground and then gets up and continues running. And that's another. That's it
go.
for Jerry this week.
This week with Jerry Horn.
Yeah, I'll cut back to the backstage stuff again for this one, just because it's fresh on the brain for me. I just finished watching it not too long ago. But so I'm watching the timing of these, and I've confirmed that the majority of Jerry running in the forest, all of the shots were done in the same day. This one in particular, though, was the very first one they filmed. So this week's background stuff, we saw David Lynch and David Patrick Kelly saying hello to each other for the first time on set, and they hadn't seen each other in many years, maybe since Wild at Heart, which I wasn't aware that DPK was in. But he even brings that up. He's like, "Do you remember what you told Harry Dean when we shot this one scene in Wild at Heart?" And Lynch is like, "No, I don't." But David Patrick Kelly remembered it word for word. So you could tell he took the experience of working with Lynch to heart. And I thought that was a neat little moment between those two guys.
Cool.
So, yeah. But yeah, anyway, nothing new with Jerry there. He's had the same arc, which is running in a circle, I suppose, in the forest for days. We don't have a real good time frame on that, do we?
Yeah, I don't know how high he is. Like, it has to be days at this point because we've gone through a couple night rotations already. Like,
Within the rest of the plot, yeah, we've never seen Jerry at night.
no.
Like Jerry's always been the same general kind of day for, I mean, obvious reasons. Now that we've talked about how the sausage is made,
Jerry is a lie. Actually, there's no
but
Jerry. It's just a figure.
there is no Jerry. I saw a short interview with Jeff Bridges this week where he talks about the theory that in The Big Lebowski, Donnie doesn't exist, that he's just a figment of Walter's imagination.
That's fun.
That's a tangent we don't need to explore right now. But he makes some fair arguments. Like the only time the dude speaks to Donnie directly is when his car gets stolen and he's leaving carrying the phone. Where are you going, dude? Home, Donnie. Phone's ringing, dude. Thank you, Donnie. But yeah, that's the only time anybody besides Walter speaks to Donnie in the entire movie. So yeah, if you look at it from that Sixth Sense perspective, spoiler alert, then there's credence to that theory. Back to the matter at hand. Let's head to a setting we haven't seen yet. It's a small grocery store in Twin Peaks. Sarah Palmer is there doing some shopping for the bare necessities. In her cart already are a few frozen meals and 2 large jugs of Bloody Mary mix. She approaches the alcohol aisle and seems disappointed to find only 3 liters of Smirnoff available for her to add to the cart.
Darn.
The expression on her face, though, like that was very easily readable. Yeah, just a very quick but acting. After asking the cashier for a carton of cigarettes, a jerky display behind the register catches Sarah's eye. Discussing it with the poor young cashier, she seems oddly disturbed by the fact that there is also turkey jerky mixed in with the beef jerky in the new display. Yeah, it's a change that has discomforted her. As a discordant strain of music rises in the background, Sarah begins to suffer a seeming dissociative episode. She warns the cashier and the young bag boy that men are coming and things can happen. In fact, they happen to her. She grows more agitated at their lack of understanding. Sarah eventually begins to repeat, I don't feel good, and then suddenly begins speaking to herself in third person, instructing herself to leave the store and get the goddamn car keys, abandoning her groceries. The bag boy offhandedly remarks to the cashier that he knows where she lives and he can deliver her groceries later, in possibly the worst line reading in the series. Poor kid.
Oh, I don't
He
know about
didn't ask
that.
for that. I'm sorry. Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
know. It
think
was
that was
bad.
the worst. I think the two women at the end are by far the worst.
They're pretty bad. No lies. But Grace Zabriskie, Sarah Palmer here is really, really good. This one hits home for me. This seems very believable. I mean, when you think about Sarah and what she's undergone, and when you recognize that her way of coping with her trauma has been to just try to drink herself to death for the last 25 years. I mean, I think everybody has known someone like that in their lives who just had something happen to them that they couldn't move past and they couldn't deal with, and then just very slowly deteriorated into something like this. And not everybody in real life has that convenience of having a supernatural bogeyman possessing their husband to blame for that. So yeah, I feel like this was a good way for fiction to become reality a little bit, and maybe engender a little sympathy for someone who you see having a breakdown like that, because God only knows what they've been through in their life to get to that point.
Yeah, no. You know, she. I actually think her next scene with Hawk is like the creepiest. Like
Oh yes,
that
for
is by.
sure.
I think
That's a
that's
much different.
it's a different
That's where
scene.
the supernatural creeps back in. This
That's
this
but
is the believable scene.
I don't know. I believe that that lady is creepy as fuck. Just I could believe it's not
She's
supernatural in that I
She doesn't
know.
have to struggle to pull off the look, does she?
No, I mean you. I mean, I kind of feel like there was like some musical cue that made you think it was supernatural when she started talking to herself in third person in the store. So there
Fair.
is.
Yeah.
So like, I actually thought that when at the house when you talk about it, I just feel like she's rationalized it there, and it's just more. It's like just, but yeah, it's like a complete exorcist moment. So it's probably the best acting in this episode.
I would agree. Now let's see something positive for a change in Twin Peaks. At the Fat Trout Trailer Park, one of the residents, an older man with a cane, is walking past Carl's trailer when the man himself exits and calls out to him. Carl has heard that the man has been using blood donations. I forget his name. Something that starts with a K. I should have written it down after I read it in the credits. But anyway, the resident has been using blood donations to supplement his income. So Carl inquires him about some odd jobs that he's done for other residents out of the kindness of his heart. And Carl decides him to pay him some cash for that. Not only that, but Carl offers him free rent for the month. Carl tells his resident that he doesn't want him selling his blood, that he, quote, doesn't like it, end quote, and that if the man needs help, Carl can always give him some extra work. So, yeah,
Oh,
just a touching little scene, little Harry Dean Stanton for those of you who love and miss him. I kind of feel like it's not a big stretch, this role for him. I kind of feel like this is the kind of dude he was in real life, but He kind of plays a lot of roles like that. So nice to be able to be typecast as yourself in Hollywood and make a living for it.
But kind of like, what is the point of that scene?
Just to establish that Carl is a genuinely good guy, I guess. I mean, if you look at everybody in Twin Peaks as an agent of one of the lodges, Carl is a White Lodge guy, 100%. Probably dreams about the giant, never tells anyone.
Mm.
Like, maybe it was the giant that told him so and so is selling his blood.
But maybe he doesn't have anything to do with any of that.
Maybe not. The beauty of a Lynch
I suppose.
artwork. I was going to say film, but I don't know if that qualifies here.
Mm-mm-mm.
Back in Vegas, we head to Lancelot Court and the Red Door. Sonny Jim is taking Dougie out into the backyard for a game of catch. Jim throws the ball, promptly hitting Dougie in the left shoulder. And that's it.
That is
That's all we
indeed.
get for Dougie
That
this
is indeed
week.
it.
Yeah, I think like one of the trivia I read is that like Kyle MacLachlan is the top billed actor in every episode of the series. And in this episode, he gets exactly 23 minutes of screen time. And he's the first person named. Well, I mean, it's if not for him, this wouldn't be as successful as it is. I would argue 100% that Kyle MacLachlan, as the leading man, was a big part of the reason for the success of this series. Another misty mountain tableau is accompanied by some of that old haunting original series music. I forget the name of the piece, but it's the intro to, I think it's just the intro to Laura's theme, is how it goes. But this leads us to Hawk visiting Sarah at home. Through an upstairs window, we can just barely see the spinning ceiling fan. That gave me goosebumps seeing that, just because of the ties to the original series and that fan serving as like that portent of doom. It always showed up right before something bad happened. Hawk knocks gently but insistently, and we see another shot of the fan before Sarah finally answers the door. Hawk tells her he's been thinking about her lately because of some old cases that cropped up, but Sarah sees through his glad handling BS and knows he's there about the incident at the grocery store. Now, admittedly, the old cases part is genuinely true, but that's a lie of omission there on Hawk's part.
Sure.
Although he doesn't hide it. Her demeanor, Sarah's demeanor, is not real friendly, to say the least, but she does claim she feels fine now. Suddenly, we hear the sound of a clattering of bottles from inside, catching Hawk's attention and causing Sarah to shift uncomfortably. He asks if she has a visitor, but she dismissively claims that it's just something in the kitchen. Her mask of composure briefly slips as she laments her, quote, goddamn bad story. But when Hawk tells her that she can call him for help of any kind, she thanks him curtly before slamming the door in his face. Yeah, this one was, again, it was like defense mechanism, Sarah, I guess. Just like, I'm fine, everything's fine. And then just for that little second, you see that desperately sad woman trapped inside of those walls that she's putting up.
Oh, I saw a little bit of. I feel like I saw like demon happiness
In her?
Yeah, you kind of see this like her eyes kind of, and she has this kind of evil smile. Yeah.
And
we know,
in one part,
and we know that it's the bag boy back there, right? All tied up, trying to fight. He's got the vodka bottles next to him, and he's like, and she's gonna kill him.
that's honestly something I never considered.
And then dump the body right where Laura. That's how I'd end the whole episode. That's how I'd end the whole series. That boy dead by the in a plastic bag.
That's some dark shit, dude.
But but my theory actually is it's Leo. He just lives with her now.
It's Leo.
He just lives there.
That's what happened to Leo.
Yeah, he's just there.
He found his way out of the forest, and
Just lives there now.
Sarah ran into him. She's like, God, I need a child right now. I'll take in
Weird.
this poor, brain damaged
No, but
abuser of a man.
when I heard that little wrestling of the bottles or whatever it was, it's like, ah, man, that'd be awesome if it was that bag boy. And when anyway, that's where my head went.
That's wild, dude. But it's interesting that you said what you said, given that we did admit that, like, we saw the frog moth crawl into young Sarah's mouth all the way back in the 50s or 60s or whatever that shot was. So what is the point of seeing that, and where does that lead?
Yeah, and is that thing still in her?
But that's open to interpretation now, isn't it?
She's the true harbinger of evil. Maybe she
We'll
made.
have a lot.
Maybe
Well,
she made Leland evil. Maybe Bob came from the insect.
yeah, yeah. These are all theories.
I know. I like the Leo one the best, but
Yeah,
and because he's part of the spider
it is
clan
the
now.
funniest.
He's part of the
It is
spider
the
clan
funniest,
now.
yes.
Because like there's the grasshopper rat thing or whatever it is. What was it? Grasshopper moth, frog moth. What is the thing
Frog
called?
moth,
Frog
yeah.
moth. All right. Well,
Or the
well,
frog locust or whatever, yeah.
Leo is like spider clan because he got eaten by spiders and he's been reincarnated as like this spider, like a Spider Man.
Oh, yes. The man spider is the natural enemy of the frog locust. Yeah.
Listen. Hey.
Stomps him and eats him.
Anyway, it's working, and it loves Bloody Marys. It turns out. So.
It's all copacetic, baby. So they all get together and
Anyway.
Let's move on to a long, slow pan down a hospital corridor, and then a long, slow pan up a patient's bed, coming to rest on the battered and unconscious face of Miriam. Back at the hotel bar, right away, Diane has received a 2-word text. Las Vegas? He replies in all caps, they haven't asked yet. I tried to read that in exactly the way that Albert reads it later on. I think I got the inflections pretty well. So yeah, not much to that scene other than, I mean, it does point out the fact that Dougie is not on Albert and Gordon's radar just yet. They have no idea, but let's not forget that the Fusco brothers did get a set of Dougie's prints, and they may have run those in the system by now.
Dun dun dun.
2 Coopers. How about we go to Benjamin Horne's office? Haven't been there in a bit. Where Beverly is showing in Sheriff Truman. That would be Frank Truman. Frank has taken it upon himself to perform the unfortunate task of informing Ben about his grandson Richard's latest run-in with the law, namely, that vehicular homicide and attempted murder stuff. It's, Frank says this all kind of matter-of-factly. It's not innocent until presumed guilty. He's just like, yeah, Richard ran over that kid. Richard tried to kill Miriam. No presumed about it, but
Yeah. She needs
it's a small town.
She needs an operation. Can you pay for that?
Frank does mention that Miriam is in intensive care without insurance. This is pre-Obamacare days, and Miriam is a preschool teacher. Ben quickly and readily agrees to cover all of Miriam's medical costs. Good dude that he has become, because he doesn't screw women 30 years younger than him anymore. He laments that Richard has, quote, never been right, and that his behavior has only escalated as he has aged, to which he says Harry could attest. Ben asks after Harry's health because he does have a small gift for him. It is the key to Cooper's room that he mysteriously received in the mail the other day. Thanks, Jade. I think that's technically the 3rd bride she gave. Frank mentions that they just recently reopened a case involving Cooper, and the two ponder the strangeness of this coincidence for a moment before Frank offers his apologies and makes his exit. Ben asks Beverly to contact the hospital and take care of Miriam, commenting that Richard never had a father, before he tries to comfort himself with memories of a beloved green bicycle given to him by his own dad.
And my comment here was, we having a rosebud moment or something? Like, what is this about?
It's not our first with Ben Horn.
I know.
There is a history of him retreating into happy childhood memories
No, I know.
to
I remember.
escape the unpleasantness of. So I feel like that's an appropriate callback. I feel like that works really well, and that's a well written aspect of this particular character.
So I didn't think that Truman's delivery of this stuff was like matter of fact. I kind of felt it was like two old guys talking to each other, like on the porch. That's how I
Well,
interpreted.
strictly from a legal standpoint, is
Maybe.
all I'm saying.
Oh, I just felt like it was very like, yep, sorry, yep,
Yeah,
yep, and I
yeah.
was,
He's just
and it,
Frank's a straight shooter.
and while it goes on for a long time, I actually felt like of all the scenes that were okay going on for a long time, I felt this one was okay. Doing it, there's a lot of interesting things kind of going on here
Hmm.
in this particular. I There was a moment when he was playing with the key, and then when Frank says they just reopened a case about Cooper, I had hoped there would have been something more from Ben Horn, because obviously that time period is very troublesome for him. So I was like,
Right,
it kind of makes I would be kind of more kind of like, oh, that doesn't seem like a good a good thing. But
right.
they don't really touch
I
on
mean,
it. They don't play into it very much. They go in different
on the
directions.
one hand, excuse me. On the one hand, everything that went down with Cooper was actually kind of a catalyst for Ben to become a better person, as it was.
Sure, but he was still
So,
still like
yeah,
he was
no, I
a
mean, there was some bad shit that went down for him in those weeks, for sure. But, yeah, I don't think he sees it necessarily as negative as someone like, well, I mean, Sarah may be a bad example. She may be on the extreme side of that, but maybe somebody like James or like Donna, it would have left a far more indelible, or Bobby, which we saw that a lot more from Bobby than we did from Ben Horn when he busted, broke into tears when he saw that picture of Laura. But I agree with you. It would have been nice to see, or, I mean, we did see that change of expression from Frank where he's like, huh, that's weird. And we heard a little bit of a shift in tone from Ben Horn, but yeah, it could have been explored a little deeper. I'll agree with you there.
I guess a lot of this stuff just kind of like they have all these like cookie crumbs of where they could have done more with the original cast. And so like I at this point I realize they're not really doing that. So like I guess my brain just kind of, well, this has been fun to do this with them or do this with them or anyway.
Yeah. And, if it's possible that they did do it and it just didn't make the cut or what have you. For as long as the series is, I'm sure there was way more footage that came out. So, now let's visit Gordon's hotel suite. Oh, I'm sure you loved this scene.
Oh, this was cringe, dude. What is this about?
He is seated on his couch with a bottle of wine and a beautiful brunette in a red dress draped onto his shoulder, hanging on his every word as he tells tales of his exploits as a federal agent. Just as he's getting to the good part, he's interrupted by a knock at the door. It's Albert, who needs to speak to Gordon alone. Gordon politely asks his lady friend to wait downstairs in the bar, and she agrees, all français, taking her sweet time to prepare herself for her exit, putting on her jacket and shoes, touching up her lipstick, and finishing her wine. Gordon is clearly taking every ounce of enjoyment he can from the entire spectacle. Albert, however, appears unmoved, though overall patient. Gordon attempts to make some dad jokes and some small talk, But when Albert remains uncharacteristically silent, Gordon decides to finally read the room and ask him what's up. Albert repeats Diane's text exchange verbatim, and the two wonder aloud at what they're missing. Gordon excuses himself with another attempt at levity and then expresses his worry when Albert continues to remain stone faced. Much, much longer than it should have been.
This is a long. It's just like, what is going on? Okay.
Mm.
Was there's like just like a it's like precedent for like, listen, this episode needs to be an hour. So hey Albert, I'm just let's just really draw this out. Just stare.
So they go over this scene
Do
in
they?
the behind the yes, they do.
Ugh.
And it's specifically Lynch giving direction to the actress who plays Berenice is her name. And
Is she a
he's
lady of the
telling
night?
her they don't explain that. They just explain that she's French.
Okay.
Uh, so what Lynch is explaining to her is that she is not intentionally moving slow. This is just how a French woman gets ready to leave.
Oh. Okay.
I have no experience with that myself. Could be a cultural thing. But what he does say is like he's telling her, yeah, this is just you doing your thing, but you want to share every bit of it with me. So you're just like every little thing you do, you always give me a little look when you're doing it, just a little smile, and I'll be enjoying it too. And
Cool.
so, I mean, you could definitely look at this as either innocent or not. It could be either one.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, yeah. She's like a lounge lizard that he found down at the bar, and they just went up for some wine. And
He just told her about a fancy case, and I mean, he did manage to charm Shelley pretty easily. So
so, okay. Now, I didn't replay it. I meant to replay it. Does Albert say what's the wine, and then Gordon
well, he
replies what's the
says
time,
no. He says, "What kind is it?"
or what kind, and then Gordon replies the
He
time,
says,
right?
"It's 11:05." Yeah,
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
instead of "What time is it?" What kind is it? Because Albert can't fucking hear.
Right.
And so this is an implication that like how often is it that this? How often does Gordon use this to fuck with people? Um. So another aspect, behind the scenes aspect of this particular scene was this was the wrap for Miguel Ferrer. This was the
Oh.
last scene he filmed. This would have been the last time that he and Lynch would ever appear on screen together. I think it was just a few months later that he passed. It was before the show premiered. So he didn't even, I don't know how much of it he got to see.
Hmm.
Fuck cancer, but also don't smoke.
Don't do anything. Just stay.
Yeah, don't have
Don't
any
live.
fun.
Don't live your life. You'll be fine.
I mean, it doesn't. Not everybody gets it. I mean, Lynch didn't die of cancer; he died of emphysema, smoking related. But it wasn't the cancer. It wasn't the cancer that got him. So yeah. Anyway, it was fun to see them share that moment, and touch the old cockles of the heart there a little bit, or maybe the subcockle region.
Subcockle.
There's a deep cut for you '90s kids who remember your CD stand-up. In a van parked a short distance from a suburban cul-de-sac, Hutch preps his rifle for a target, while Chantal complains about being too hungry to waste time torturing their victim. Sam, I don't know what I said there, but
Samwise Gamgee.
no, voice to text screwed me again, and I didn't go over this soon enough. So soon enough, their target arrives, I'll say, is what that's supposed to mean. It's Warden Murphy pulling up to his house after a long night's shift. Doesn't take long before Hutch fires, striking the warden in the upper back and sending him falling to the ground. Warden's tough, though, and he's not down yet, so Hutch uses a headshot to put him out for good. The warden's young son comes out to the front door to find his murdered father on the front step, and Hutch and Chantal make their way to Wendy's.
Yay.
Oof. Very Tarantino-esque here. The contrast of the perpetrators of violence with their victims. Uh, Poor fucking kid just watched his dad die. Well, he didn't see that, but he gets to see the aftermath of it. And, for Hutch and Chantal, it's just a day's work, and now they're headed to dinner.
Delicious.
Yeah, so short but impactful, I think. I don't like seeing children suffer in any way. I think we've had that discussion already. So, yeah, I was unduly affected by this particular scene, but this just does a really good job of getting what professional wrestling fans would call heel heat for Hutch and Chantal. Because as charming as they're written and as great as these actors are, and as much as we want to love them, these are fucking evil, evil people, and we should look at them as such.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty simple scene. I don't know.
It is, yeah. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm doing more of the talking than I usually do tonight. And we're not even an hour in.
This episode is just so kind of like. I mean, I thought the kid. It didn't really affect me. I thought it was kind of melodramatic to like. It's like, I mean, honestly, you didn't even need the kid.
You didn't. Dead. You really did not. Yeah.
So I just thought it was kind of like.
It was just
overly like dramatic to have this.
That was that was there to just like dig in the claws, really.
Because it's kind of not an important character either.
No, and he's not a particularly good character. I mean,
so it's just like, why do we? I mean,
he let go of this horrendous criminal.
Like you could
based on something he said,
right? But it's like at the same time,
that would have obviously revealed corruption. We assume,
but at the same time, you
like
can
we don't know what Mr. Strawberry was all about.
You can go kill this, assassinate this person. And they can just phone up Mr. C's like, yeah, it's been done. That's all you had to do. In the interest of time, none of this staging or setup needed to be done. Like, but I was like, okay. It's just like, I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah, but no, it's another one of those scenes where you just kind of wonder how necessary it is.
Like this whole episode, I feel like is unnecessary. Like you could have put some like whatever the main kind of bits that were in this was probably 5 minutes worth, maybe. Put it in the other episodes and cut all this shit out. Like, come on, 5 more episodes, Lynch, not 6. No. Anyway.
Remember, everyone, Ian could have done this in 9 episodes.
Maybe less. We'll find out at the end of the episode. At the very end, we'll see. Well, it's like we probably talked about this already, but it's like Topher Grace re-editing the prequel trilogy down to 80 minutes. Yeah. Like and that's all you needed. Like like when you really watch something and understand it, and you know what's going on, you really then learn. But that's not what Lynch is doing here. Lynch is just painting with broad strokes because he can. He's doing because he can get away with it. So like, I'm not gonna take that away from him.
And because people enjoy watching him do that,
exactly, and that's what they wanted. This is what the fans wanted, so he's giving it to them. But it's like there was really like a need to like, man, you could reel this in. I bet pretty drastically. I bet, but anyway.
Not as much as you could have that scene of the sweeping in the roadhouse, but neither here nor there. I mean, that's I definitely consider that my least favorite scene in the entire series. But
it'd be funny though, Gabe. I bet you could like cut stuff out of this and make a whole entirely different movie that had nothing to do with Twin Peaks, but still make a movie within a movie. Basically, you could like create this other movie with all that kind of content that'd be like people would be like, "What the fuck?" I don't know. Anyway, all these exercises are fun.
What was that film there's a film where there's like a bunch of friends that are trying to sneak their friend who has cancer into Skywalker Ranch to see the prequel or something. But it's all a meta commentary about it. I want to
Interesting.
say it's a Seth Green movie, even,
I don't think I've seen that or heard of it.
but yeah, it uses that level of fandom as a catalyst for a broader story. And yeah, Twin Peaks is something that would be ripe for that. Suddenly, without warning, it's Audrey. No preamble, just boom, and she's there. She looks fantastic, wearing a simple black dress with short sleeves.
And then
11
and then
goddamn weeks in.
and then after seeing this sequence, like I wish that was it. You just that, and then you cut to the next scene because whatever the fuck happens in this next half hour of television is like both tedious and kind of heartbreaking to see that this is what happened to my girl. Like, this is how you ended up. Like, I just kept saying, like, what the fuck? Serious? What the fuck? Serious? That's like, I don't know, that's just so disappointing.
You're not alone, dude. That was my first time watching this. 100% my reaction.
It's just like,
Just,
and you know
I
what?
mean, we get a chance to watch Sherilyn Fenn flex her muscles,
Oh yeah,
her
both of
acting
those
muscles,
actor
which
guys,
is fun.
both the actors are like really acting the shit out of this, like just fucking tedious scene. It's just like, but it's just like it's just
And it's tedious because it's tethered to nothing else. Like, aside from a mention of the Roadhouse, there is nothing that links this to anything else that's going on in the rest of the show.
it's like Billy because Billy Zane. It was like, is that why? Like we got to go find Billy? Like what is even
Well,
that?
now remember, and maybe you don't because this is just kind of a throwaway, but there is that one episode that ends with a guy running into the double R and screaming, "Hey, has anybody seen Billy?" And then it does that weird angle shift.
Oh, I don't remember that.
That was episode 6 or 7, and it's
Oh,
like it shifts perspectives, and like there's different patrons in the diner, but it's
interesting.
the same guy
So that
asking, "Has
it's
anybody seen
tied to
Billy?"
that.
Is it?
I don't know.
You
I guess
know,
everyone's looking for Billy, but he's still working.
Billy is a pretty common name, like Bob or Mike or any number of people that you know.
But do you think it is just Billy Zane? Like they're just using that name because?
That's something that did not occur to me until you brought it up.
Oh, okay.
It's possible, but then I mean, who the hell is Tina?
I thought like she was gonna learn that her son's an asshole or something. Like it is her son,
That
right?
does seem curious, right? Yeah.
Like I thought that was gonna be
Yeah,
like you've seen her.
Doc Hayward explained that to us.
Anyway, whatever.
Or no, he didn't necessarily. He just said that Cooper visited Audrey while she was comatose. It does seem unlikely that Richard would be Johnny's son.
Right?
So the natural conclusion would be that yes, Richard is Audrey's son.
Is she incapable?
And
Is she stuck in a time loop, still in a coma? Like her brain is fucked? Like her? I don't know. It gave us no answers. Is this her only episode?
it is not her only
Oh,
episode.
she comes from.
I will tell you that much. But that's pretty much all I can tell you.
Okay. So there's more
but let's
fun
go
stuff
ahead.
that has nothing to do with Twin Peaks. Like there's more story that has nothing to do with anything.
I mean, she's talking about the Roadhouse, so it has to do with Twin Peaks. But what does it have to do with Twin
Nothing.
Peaks?
Absolutely nothing.
Ah. So anyway, we'll go into this scene here. We'll give us a description. Audrey is introduced via a panning shot standing in front of a roaring fireplace and a large library or office. She's wearing a simple yet elegant short-sleeved black dress. The camera passes her and comes to rest on a diminutive bald man seated at a medium-sized desk with large stacks of paper and folders on either side of him. The two stare at each other for a long moment before Audrey tells the man, whose name is Charlie, that she's tired of waiting for a phone call and she wants to go to the Roadhouse now. Charlie tells her that he wants to find Billy too, but it's late and he's got a lot of paperwork to do as he gestures around his desk. you're, you're already
It's just
psyched.
so like, who cares? Because this goes on forever, and then it's like,
This does. This is like less than a quarter of the way through. Like, yeah, this is the longest paragraph I've ever written in any description of an episode.
like this
And it's
this
all
episode
just
this
like,
this scene alone should be studied in film school. Like, just what is this? Like, anyway, I don't know.
you know what this reminds me of? This scene is the short film he has on Netflix. What did Jack do?
Oh, okay.
Where it's just him talking to a monkey, and the monkey can speak in a human voice, but it's just referring to people that you have no context for, like you have no idea.
Who Billy is, or who
Yeah, it's just
what Tanya? Like
Tina.
Tina, that's what it is.
And there's somebody else that I didn't write down.
Yeah.
Audrey responds with a lot of colorful verbal abuse, but Charlie's demeanor remains calm and measured. As their conversation continues, we learn that Charlie is Audrey's husband. What the hell kind of a marriage do they have here? It further comes to light that Billy is Audrey's affair partner, and she begins to have a full on meltdown when she realizes she's going to have to contact Tina, who is apparently the last person to see Billy before he disappeared 2 days ago.
But Charlie's
Audrey has had.
okay and wants to find Billy too. So I'm like, what is this about?
So yeah, why is it they both know Billy is like, and like he also mentions Tina's husband who wouldn't be cool with her talking to Charlie. It's just like, what the
Are they
is this
swingers?
whole?
Like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
this?
that's like, is this an orgy that just went very very badly wrong or what? Um. So
Bad for
yeah,
Audrey.
she's
Jesus.
got to contact Tina. Audrey. Audrey has had dreams of Billy bloody from the nose and mouth, which makes her worry even more. They can hearken to truth, or what is it she says? The line about dreams can sometimes hearken to
Oh,
truth,
right.
which was very Shakespearean in the middle of everything else she was saying.
It's
Like
also
that line seems so oddly out of place.
it's also odd. Like this is Audrey. Like she doesn't need no man to take her to the fucking roadhouse. Like what happened? She all of a sudden became incapable. Like,
Mm,
it's just wild. I don't know.
mm.
I'm just like, what happened to this poor character, David Lynch? You just fucking me.
Oh, where did we leave off here? Audrey makes a lot of threats that we lack context for, involving paperwork and someone named Paul. Oh, there's another name. Which finally motivates Charlie to agree to go with her to the roadhouse, tired as he is.
Yeah, yeah.
Audrey puts on a red jacket while Charlie continues to verbally dawdle. He even had to be reminded that it was the roadhouse they were going to. That seems odd.
I forgot too. I was glad she reminded me. It was such a long
Uh,
conversation.
um, but eventually, Charlie does talk Audrey into allowing him to try calling Tina first. Now they bring up Chuck, who apparently stole Billy's truck for a day and who was the person who told Audrey that Tina was the last person to talk to Billy. What the fuck? Fun fact, Billy and Chuck in the WWE were a tag team that played up a gay couple gimmick in the mid 2000s. Almost staged a gay wedding on SmackDown.
Oh, cool.
It was actually a pretty fun angle. Charlie reaches Tina via a rotary phone, and we get his side of a lengthy conversation with Audrey gesturing impatiently at him all the while. Charlie sounds alternately surprised, disturbed, and remorseful by turns. Eventually, Charlie ends the call and hangs up the phone, slowly turning to give Audrey a baleful stare. Audrey rightfully loses her shit when she realizes that Charlie does not intend to tell her anything that he learned from the conversation.
Just stares at her.
just stares. Which seems kind of cruel in its own way. Like, who is the abuser and who is the abused here? Regardless, it is not a healthy relationship dynamic that we are seeing from Charlie and Audrey.
It's
Um,
very like I don't know. It's just weird. This is
I
such a
forgot to
weird.
look up the name of this actor. Do you recognize him from anything else?
I do not.
No? Well, we'll look at that in post show. Back to the hotel bar where they're continuing to serve Diane even past closing time. Again, she's being kind of sweet to the bartender, which really didn't seem like her in the beginning episodes. Uh, she racks her brain to recall the coordinates. Let me read what voice to text got out of that. She wrecks her brand of recall.
Nice. That's about the same.
Yeah, yeah, sure. She racks her brain to recall the coordinates. I must mumble a lot, or I'm covering up the mic with my palm or something. That she memorized from the picture of Ruth Davenport's arm. Googling them, she subsequently learns what we suspected all along. They lead to Twin Peaks. So yeah, pretty unnecessary scene there, given all the other stuff that we just kind of had to figure out on our own.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. We fly through the treetops of the forest at night. I really did love this shot. I mean, we get tons of shots like this, but this one in particular just seemed like a lot of these are just him trying to express the beauty and the majesty of these Pacific Northwest forests. But I feel like this shot was one of the few that actually did it justice. Night camping in a dense forest to me is always just
Mm-hmm.
a creepy, kind of fearful, in an exhilarating way kind of thing. So, anywho, we make our way to the Roadhouse for the weekly concert. We again sit in on a random conversation in a booth between two young local women while the Chromatics make their second appearance on the stage. The two women worry about Angela, who's been seeing Clark, even though Clark's been stepping out on her with Mary, Angela's hated rival. Again, just a bunch of bullshit names of characters that we've never seen, have no reason to care about. What does any of this mean? I mean, this is where Lynch really starts to even test my patience here. Is like, just is this just like establishing the town as a character? I mean, these women seem a little better put together than the ones we saw a few weeks back in what I think is this same booth. I mean, maybe
Oh
this
yeah.
is
Well,
just
we've
an
seen it.
anthology of the booth.
Yeah, we've seen multiple. Yeah, people here at the booth. The beers
Hmm.
changed. Like last time, it was like a Rainier and something else.
Yeah, this time it's Heineken's.
Heineken. But yeah, I think we've seen like what 3 or 4 groups of people at this table. Like the one with the
Hmm.
rash. That was the beer
Yeah,
as a Rainier, and then there was another group. Anyway, yeah,
the
it's just
girls
like
that got confronted by
right,
Richard. Yeah,
right, right, right. Anyway,
yeah.
it's weird.
And is this the same booth that Donna and James sat in when Donna broke down? Because the angles seem similar.
Uh,
The angles all feel right. But yeah, maybe this is him just harping on the booth, and this booth is where bad juju happens or something. I don't know. But
some of
oh
the
yeah,
best
making matters
acting,
worse.
some of the best acting I've ever seen. Jesus Christ, it's so brutal. These two women talking to each other, and then you bring in this other dude. It's just like fucking hey, like this space cadet.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, maybe this is just him. Like, I don't know where these actors came from. Did they scout local Oregon theater again, like they did for the original series?
Definitely pretty sure
I'd
they
say that's a
didn't.
distinct possibility.
Pretty sure I don't know where they went either.
North Bend, North Bend Community Theater.
Hmm.
Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, making matters worse, Angela is no longer on her meds. The women are interrupted by a friend of theirs by the name of Trick, who is terribly agitated because he was just nearly run off the road by a reckless driver. He heads to the bar to buy a round for the table, while the two ladies discuss Trick's legal status. Free man. And that is where we awkwardly end this week's episode for apparently no reason at all.
I do feel like you forgot something. Not that it was
What did I
important.
forget?
The Dr. Jacoby.
Ah, I did. You're right.
I don't feel like
You're
you talked about it.
absolutely right. Where did I skip that?
I forget where that's at. It doesn't really matter, but I forget where that's at.
It's right before Audrey.
Oh, that's okay. You were so
Yeah,
excited.
and again, it's just, well, it's a super short paragraph.
It is.
That's approximately the same length as the one about Hutch and Chantal. But yeah, Dr. Amp broadcast, complete with a rerun of the commercial for the Golden Shovel. That's frame by frame the same one we saw before. Probably why I didn't bring this up is because it's just a rehash of stuff we've already seen, including Nadine watching enraptured with her milkshake from the desktop in her business office. This time, though, she actually says a few words of dialogue. So yeah, I didn't screw anybody out of much by skipping over that.
Are you kidding? I feel like this is the most important part of the whole series.
I mean, we did get that great line about eating, drinking, and shitting money, but
okay, there you go. I just wanted to make sure, just us, I didn't want to like jip any of our viewers or listeners. We did.
It feels unfortunate to me how few of the OG actors were able to interact with the other ones.
Right.
A lot of them feel very isolated in their scenes, like Jacoby and like Nadine and the log lady by necessity. But yeah, they feel very disconnected from the rest of what's going on, and maybe that's by design. But hard to say.
It really just feels like there's a story.
To recap.
It really feels like there's just a story that Lynch came up with, and then he just basically is cameoing the original cast. He's not really using them really for this story, except for maybe Hawk. But even that feels like so, I don't know, unnecessary to some degree. Because I don't feel like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know yet because I haven't seen the last of the episodes, but it just feels a lot of this Twin Peaks
it's going to be interesting to learn how when you see the rest of it, how that filters your perception of what came before.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because there really is an effort to tie everything together in a certain way.
I'm sure there is. I mean, that's what I'm curious about. I'm curious to see what his ultimate kind of process here is on all of it. Even if it doesn't tie up everything, I'm just curious where it lands or crashes
or nosedives into the pavement and splatters. Oh, wow. Yeah, we are on track for our shortest episode ever.
And this is the Chromatic second time, right? What episode were they in before? I don't remember, but
I think they were in the first one.
Was that what it was? No,
one of the very early ones. Maybe episode 3.
Gotcha.
I think they might have been that first band when Shelley's hanging out with her friends and James makes the entrance, and James is cool. James has always been cool.
That's right, baby.
Yeah, we also haven't seen the last of him, for that matter.
I certainly hope so, because it's why the fuck tease that and then nothing.
I mean, we do that with some stuff, but
we had to have
not so much with the OG cast.
Just one.
Some of whom still haven't turned up yet, for the record. Some of whom won't turn up at all, but some of whom are in the cast. We know are in the cast, but still haven't made their first appearance yet. So
wild.
Let me go grab my other notes.
Let's.
I already covered some of these, and it wasn't a real deep episode, so I'm not going to have too much to add.
That's all right. It is really just what this episode was. I mean, this episode was really a lot of nothing.
It felt really, yeah. Yeah, it was Twin Peaks does Seinfeld. So we on September 23rd of 2015 is when they recorded the scene where they recruit Tammy. There's a lot of footage of the rehearsal of the scene, which is where I tell you they came up with some of that blocking, bringing Diane into the room, and then some of the additional just banter that they have leading into the important dialogue. Um, yeah, not much to add to that. October 5th, Jerry running. We already discussed most of that. Where I'm pretty sure that, yeah, all of those exterior shots with him were all filmed on the same day, which would have put him on set for 2, maybe 3 days tops of work, is all he did.
Okay.
Because that's really all we see is him in the forest and him, that one scene he has with Ben Horn.
Is there even a point to this forest run?
Eventually, it does interact with another storyline.
Okay. All right. That's all I care about. Like, if it, like at the end of the episode, he's just out there in the forest still, and then it's like roll credits, and he's just still out there. It's like, what was the point of that?
Right? Then it's just kind of like Paul Rubens still selling Spike to the chest at the end
Oh,
of Buffy. Ugh, ugh.
yeah.
Big ups, Paul. We miss you, brother. Thanks for the laughs. November 10th, 2015
Thanks for
is when they filmed the
normalizing jerking
scene.
off in a theater, Paul.
I
Anyway,
think there's some dispute over the actual account of what happened there, but
sure.
it didn't end his career.
But normalize
So,
it. It's fine. It's just a thing.
hey man, if your jacket's covering it up, who gives a shit?
Yeah. Or it's in a peanut. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Entrapment, I say.
Yes.
so so yes, they're filming and it's a legitimate supermarket. I'm led to believe that it must be in North Bend because when they're wrapping this scene, they say we're going to pack it up and then we're going to move to the diner and then we'll break for lunch. So the diner, I assume, means the Double R, which is located in North Bend. We haven't seen any backstage footage of them filming there. That hasn't turned up in any of this behind the curtain documentary. So I can't confirm that with filming dates that we see, but seems logical. This scene was the last that Grace Zabriskie filmed. This was a wrap on Sarah. And also, as part of that announcement, they said it was a wrap on our wonderful checkout team. So again, Lynch gives basically everybody who has a speaking line the same treatment on set. Like you get your credit, you get your wrap announcement when you're done for the shoot. And he's always really super complimentary with everybody, even that kid who just read it like a dead-eyed fish.
Is this Sarah's last
Beautiful,
episode?
beautiful job. No,
No. Okay.
it is not. But this is her, yeah, her last shot.
Holding out for Leo.
And then all the way later in March 19th of 2016, they filmed the scene with Berenice in the hotel suite. They do a rehearsal with Gordon and Albert. Gordon telling his lame jokes and Albert not laughing. The crew is chuckling along the whole time during the rehearsal. Which, I kind of see that. And then, as I did mention before, that was a wrap on Albert, and it also was a wrap on Berenice. She comes back for that wrap announcement. She's no longer wearing her high heels. She's wearing some very comfortable looking fur boots that go all the way up to her calf.
Oh, cool. Fun.
I thought that was amusing. Yeah, not really much to add to those outside of what I saw.
All right. I don't know.
Well,
That's the episode, guys. I'm
shit.
sorry. Hey, blame Lynch. Not us.
No. We can fill some time here. We can fill some time.
We do not have to fill time. We
We
honestly,
don't have to,
like,
but
what do you want to talk about? I don't know what to talk about.
why don't we just summarize overall? Like where do you think we're going from here? Give me some of your predictions for the last 6 episodes. Like what do you see happening?
Uh, mm, well, obviously, I think Gordon and Albert have to find Dougie or Cooper, and then they're all going to end up back in Twin Peaks, and then some magical bullshit's going to happen, and Dougie's going to become Cooper again, and then I don't know how it ends. Like, I don't know what the resolution actually is, because it's not
Right?
like,
Like what is the goal?
what is the goal?
Who's motivated?
Who's really the villain right now? Like, I guess there is technically kind of a villain, like, overall, but like it's not really, like, is that important? It's just still the unknown. Like, I think really the only goal is to get Dougie to become Cooper again. I mean, I guess Mr.
That's kind
C.
of like
I guess Mr. C. We have to deal with Mr. C. So like maybe that's the big
we still
showdown.
we
But
still don't know exactly what he's trying to do though.
right, but he's a evil man. So like I guess
He
that stuff
is.
has to wrap up somehow. We have to send that back to the lodge. I guess somehow. I guess that's the kind of the assumptions I'm making, that like somehow that has to wrap up. But like, is that actually going to happen? I don't know, because it's. I, probably not. I don't know.
I mean, Lynch does not offer closed-ended finales to anything. So, I mean, I can't really say too much more than that. I mean, I will say that, you're not too far off the mark in a lot of what you're thinking about, but it's not always the where or the why, but sometimes it's the how that makes it interesting.
Like, I don't know. Was this so? This was never, was this seen as the last season, or would they have potentially made more if he had stuck
That
around?
depends on who you ask.
Oh, okay.
Some musician claimed that they had been commissioned to work on more music that they said was for Twin Peaks.
Mm.
Take that with a grain of salt. I've never seen anything to confirm or deny that. Lynch naturally, like when in an interview is asked about it, he was like, I don't see myself working on it right now, but you never know.
Mm.
But yeah, it's who's to say at this point? I mean, I really think that this was like to him, this was kind of like the thing that he always came back to. This was like Stephen King and the Dark Tower. This was kind of like his magnum opus, or Axl Rose and Chinese Democracy. you know,
Gotcha.
this was that white whale, that project that they loved so much, and that he poured his heart and soul into, but he never felt like he quite got it right. You know, and he had this chance to do it all over again and do it the way he wanted, and I think he was satisfied with it in the end. But I think he would have been open to returning if the right idea had presented itself. I'm sure Frost would have. I don't doubt for a second that Frost would have been open to more.
Okay.
And maybe that door isn't closed. Maybe there's actively behind the scenes conversations with Mark Frost and Jennifer Lynch right now to advance things forward.
I think ultimately what's going to happen is they're all just going to die, and then the dog's going to wake up and realize it was all a dream. Uh,
Whose dog?
that doesn't matter.
It's Leo's dream.
Yeah, Leo's like, he wakes
Leo's
up in the
spider bite
spider
fever
bite. He's like,
dream.
oh my god, oh, I'm still alive, guys.
Where the fuck was I dreaming about Las Vegas?
That would be great. And like, it's not even that. You just like cut a scene from the old series where he's just still there and he kind of wakes up. It's like, oh, I'm still here. He's still gonna die by the spiders.
It's just a coma fantasy all along.
Perfect. That's perfect.
Oh man, there's we've touched on themes that I'd love to explore, but there's so many spoilers involved with it that I can't go any further with that. So
So I was right about Leo. I got it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Spider venom is a hell of a hallucinogen,
Yep.
folks.
Yep. Yep.
Don't ever smoke it. Well, I who are characters that you wish we could have seen in the revival that or in the return that you haven't seen yet?
I mean, I guess don't. Uh, we haven't seen Big Ed yet.
We haven't. Big Ed still has yet to make an appearance, but he will.
About Mike.
We just got that one shot with him
Hmm.
running the insurance agency.
That's it. All right.
Unfortunately, yes, Mike was a one and done.
We're not gonna see that rekindled love relationship with.
With Mike and Nadine.
Yeah.
Oh God, wouldn't it be hilarious to see them just like run into each other in that same grocery store?
Like I seen that. I feel like that's like a necessity. Like that's how you definitely write that in because
Oh,
people want that.
Nadine. Well, and Nadine looks great. She hasn't aged in the 25 years. Like she looks exactly the same,
And now Mike's legal. Anyway.
right?
Anyway.
Consenting adults.
I don't know who else do I. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we've about covered the majority, except for Leo.
Yeah. I don't really think there's anyone.
Yeah, I'm not coming up on anybody, and I'm the one that threw out the question. Oh, this is
I mean, because I know the
this
other
is a
ones that
bad
aren't.
attempt to
I know the other ones that aren't in it. So it's like I'm not going to see them anyway. So,
right.
yeah, I don't. I can't.
I do wish they'd have found something for Catherine Martell to do, because Piper Laurie is a really good actress.
Did she not want to
But
do it?
I mean, they it wasn't that. It was just they didn't have anything like didn't see any reason to bring her back to the
What?
story.
You can't have an Asian guy in this show? Just bring him back. That would have been funny just to meet him at like in Las Vegas.
Right.
He's just like he's
Yeah.
just playing a slot machine and he's just there, just like, oh my god, what is this? Anyway,
That would have been funny. Yeah. That would have been a better time than just Ethan Suplee and a hot dog, right?
right?
Nothing against Ethan Suplee, mind you.
What a weird.
I like his work, but
yeah.
but why? Why was he there?
Friends of a friend, I guess. You know somebody.
Yeah. So was he like his name was Bill, wasn't it? Bill Shaker. Yeah.
Bill Shaker. But not a Billy.
Not a Billy, but a Bill.
It would have been funny if it was a Billy.
And I mean, he helped Dougie, so if you want to label him as one of the agents, like lodge agents, he would have been an agent of the White Lodge, so
And I guess so would Jade.
that's true.
We need to see more Jade.
Well, don't hold your breath. We saw pretty much all of Jade there was to see.
They're all dressed up as superheroes at the end. The White Lodge lanterns. They're just like
Yeah.
Jade and Bill Shaker.
The Heavenly Choir,
descending upon the
Carl Rod.
the Colemen, and there's like this war.
Oh yeah, the Woodsman.
The
Yeah.
Woodsman.
And there arose a second war in heaven.
That's right. And then the dog.
Oh, dude. Right, yeah.
It's like
Or like Silent Hill, it was a dog running a machine the whole time.
right. Yeah. I don't know, man.
Oh man, yeah. All right. I think we stretched this one about as far as it can go, folks. So we're gonna call it good, and we will just label this one shortest episode ever.
Not technically not the shortest.
Technically
episode.
not?
No. Our very
was
first
our-
episode
oh.
was only an hour long.
Really? We kept it that short.
Yeah. well, we were sort of trying to figure out how to do these things. So like, yeah, that first episode.
God, that was the pilot.
The pilot. It was only like 56 minutes.
2 hours of pilot. Wow. Yeah, we were definitely feeling it out back in those days. Well, yeah, a little shorter than we're accustomed to, but hey, that's okay with this episode. There wasn't, like we said, not a lot of meat on the bone for this one. So we'll just take one quick moment to give a shout out to friend of the show, Domer. That's his music you hear at the beginning and the end. The name of the song is Big Old Dead from the self-titled album Domer. You can find that on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and Amazon Music. Us, you can find on all of those except for Audible, which is like isn't that the Amazon?
No, you can find us on Audible.
Podcast arm, anyway.
We're on Audible.
Well, isn't Audible owned by Amazon, though?
It is indeed.
Yes. So, yeah, that same core 4 of podcast apps, that's where you find us. All of our previous episodes, all the way back to the beginning of the original series, and some weird bonus ones that are just pretty bizarre footage, mind you, but they're fun. For us, anyway. Anywho.
Actually, one of our most popular, actually.
Which one?
I think the Fire Walk with Me commentary is like our most viewed.
No shit.
Yeah, I think it's our most viewed on YouTube.
All right. I'll have to look into that.
Anyway.
Watch along with us watching along. Watch along.
Back when Gabe was into killing him, like trying to kill himself, like chop off his fingers and stuff. He just like didn't believe in having.
Oh yeah. Self-mutilation.
Yeah, jeez.
Let's make this as difficult to record as possible.
Indeed.
Not even a scar, folks. You can barely tell it happened. I am way more cautious around citrus peelers these days, though. I will admit that.
Wise. Very wise.
Very wise indeed. So thanks again, everyone who joined us for this episode and who joined us for all the previous ones. We don't have many left to go. It's a short run to the finish. We've got the last 6 episodes. We'll probably do a recap, an overall encore, supplemental material. I have been digging into the secret history of Twin Peaks, which actually led me to research some genuine American history. Some old school murder mystery stuff that, maybe we'll dive into that a little later on. But it was pretty fascinating stuff, and it was weird to see like real American mysteries incorporated into fiction in those ways. So that'll be worth touching base on once we wrap things up. But yeah, not much left to go, so enjoy it while you can, folks. It's blank as a fart.
Or rewatch them. Or re-listen to them.
Or rewatch them.
Just keep doing it.
Endlessly.
Over
and over again. We have very soothing voices. It's good to fall asleep to,
Indeed.
Put it on repeat while we fall asleep, and that's 10 views for us in one night.
That's wonderful.
Right? It's not like we're putting out a 10-minute video of silence like some people tried, It's not the 3-hour video of the fireplace.
I mean, it could be. I mean, I have like over...
It could be.
I have over 400 episodes of me quietly drinking a beer, so, I mean...
400 episodes, really?
Probably more than that, yeah.
And they're all different beers?
Yeah.
There's some repeats there, right?
No. I've done Stella twice. I've done Ranger twice, but that's it. Like, for the most part, it's like... And those might be actually in a different playlist, because they're redos. But, yeah. I have release content for that, like a year out. Like...
Right, yeah, you've timed those, haven't you?
So they release every week, and I have it going every week for a year. So if I die tomorrow, though, I have another year of content on that. Anyway. It's wild.
Little insight into how YouTube works there, for those of you who are interested. So anyway, yeah, we'll call it good for tonight. Thank you all for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you join us next week for part 13, which is, what story is that, Charlie? So, yeah, definitely more Audrey coming up.
Cool.
And if I'm not mistaken, we're also going to get our visit to Jack Rabbit's palace. So that's one you'll want to tune in for.
Awesome.
Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next week. And let a smile be your umbrella. And in addition, keep your eye on the donut and not on the hole. Take care, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
Love you, Ian.